Your mind will be like its habitual thoughts, for the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Marcus Aurelius' metaphor here accurately depicts how our psyche is heavily influenced by our perpetual thoughts, and our thoughts are without a doubt influenced or even manipulated by all the visual and oral noise we are exposed to in our daily lives. For a lot of us today, social media and the internet in general impacts our thoughts the most, as we repeatedly expose ourselves to them. We must realize how problematic this can be to our subconscious and soul, as the online world, particularly social media, is filled with negativity and inauthentic portrayal of our lives. If we constantly expose our minds to negativity, even in small doses, our souls will be hijacked by such thoughts. Cutting out the kind of pessimism frequently seen online should be a non-negotiable for your soul, since a lot of it stems from the idea that forcing a change in the surroundings and society to fit one's needs is superior to taking the time to improve themselves. To pursue the unattainable is insanity, yet the thoughtless can never refrain from doing so. With the exception of very extreme circumstances, trying to change society and others in order to make life more comfortable for ourselves is a rather foolish effort, but many people will never be able to realize that, making them stuck in a vicious cycle of madness. What we ought to do is try to develop and mold ourselves first before we bicker about things out of our control or force some poorly thought out ideology onto others. Another damaging aspect of constant exposure to the current online culture is the false perception of perfection and the desire to meet it. A lot of the marketing we see online is engineered to prey on our insecurities, directing us to focus on what we lack rather than what we have. The thoughtless population will then try to cover up their insecurities and fears by presenting highly embellished, unauthentic versions of their lives onto social media, which then triggers insecurities of their friends and followers, resulting in a messy cycle of delusion. Constantly thinking about our shortcomings and deficiencies will not lift our souls, and instead, it will fill our minds with an unhealthy sense of self-doubt. We must realize that every one of us will lack in some aspects, but have plenty to offer the world if we just take the time to seek inward. They cannot admire you for the sharpness of your mind. So be it, but there is much else of which you cannot say, I have no gift for that. So display the qualities that are wholly within your power: sincerity, dignity, endurance, disdain for sensual pleasure, satisfaction with your lot, contentment with little, kindness, freedom, frugality, avoidance of idle chatter, and elevation of mind. Do you not see how many fine qualities you are already able to display, for which you can offer no excuse of want of natural talent or lack of aptitude? We ought to focus on our good qualities that are already within us, and double down on it, for this mindset has a better chance of giving us the confidence and mental space to improve our inadequacies in an honest manner than being under the control of all the negativity perpetuated by our online culture. We must also realize this takes time as well, and constantly strive to color our thoughts and soul with the right frame of mind. There will be times where we get off track and may start to slip towards the negativity, but there is no reason to fear. The only thing we need to do is to realize it and get back on track. Praise the ability to return to your philosophy, and do not fear getting off track. If we can color our souls with such thoughts, we will undertake our duties with vigorous spirit. You should not be disgusted, or lose heart, or give up if you are not wholly successful in accomplishing every action according to correct principles. But when you are thwarted, return to the struggle, and be well contented if for the most part your actions are worthier of human nature. Love that to which you are returning, and come back to philosophy not as to a school teacher, but as those with sore eyes turn to a sponge and white of egg, and another patient to a poultice, and another to fomentations. Of course, to return to a philosophy, routine, or a regimen of some sort, we must have one in place, and according to Marcus Aurelius, we must view it as something that heals and guides us, not something that we must obey and be slaves to. When we momentarily lose course, we must get back to our principles in the spirit of self-respect, something a lot of us frequently forget. We must remember to live our days for the betterment of ourselves, not to put up a facade to others. And so such a person, when he has done a good deed, does not shout about it, but passes straight on to the next one, as the vine yields new clusters of grapes when the season comes around. The current online culture has embedded in many impressionable minds that every time we accomplish something, we must share it immediately with all of our online friends, no matter how small an achievement it might be. This rather strange custom has slowly started to rob the purpose of certain good acts. Do we have certain routines or hobbies to enhance our lives or to enhance our self-image? We must not color our souls with a desire to impress others, but instead with a desire to make progress within ourselves, with a deep sense of self-respect. When we rise every morning, we must do so not with the intention of proving something to others, not out of self-punishment, but out of honest self-respect. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for, the things I was brought into the world to do? Or is this what I was created for? To huddle under the blankets and stay warm? The word work here does not necessarily have to refer to our occupations, but it should refer to the duties we must attend that give our lives meaning. We must all have some sort of occupation to provide for the basic needs, but if it's not something that provides meaning to us, we are allowed to find meaning outside. Something that gives us a reason to get up in the morning and helps us make each day more meaningful than just going to our jobs. That can be our families and friends, it can be our hobbies, or it can be striving to be better each day, so that we can all live with a sense of dignity and virtue. But we can also aim to find a purpose in our occupations as well, and how our jobs may serve others. Filling our minds with such thoughts leads us away from resentment and self-destruction, and instead, it will guide us down the path of liberation. So, to wrap it all up, how we act on a daily basis reflects what we believe, and we also make judgments about ourselves and others based on those beliefs. To end this video, I would like to share the full version of the opening quote. Your mind will be like its habitual thoughts, for the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Soak it then in such trains of thought as, for example, where life is possible at all, a right life is possible. Life in a palace is possible. Therefore, even in a palace, a right life is possible. Or again, the purpose behind each thing's creation determines its development. The development points to its final state. The final state gives the clue to its chief advantage and good. And therefore, the chief good of a rational being is fellowship with his neighbors. For it has been made clear long ago that fellowship is the purpose behind our creation. Thank you for watching.